So I think coding is one thing where I started using it. But then I think on the product side, right, it has a lot of use cases. You can create very good user experiences for your customers if you know what they want, if you can give the right context to AI. So I think that is the biggest use case.
Today we have our guest, Mr. Prabhash Dhyani.
In today's episode, we are looking at the role of AI in modern Wi-Fi networks.
Now, how good of a use case is the Wi-Fi industry for AI applications?
So let's talk about the use case which gets mostly talked about in from Wi-Fi industry point of view, is troubleshooting. Because Wi-Fi troubleshooting is hard. We have to accept that, right?
Where AI is running mostly today. So, is it on the cloud, controllers, or access points, or even on the edge device and devices like mobile phones or laptops?
AI mostly, as of today, runs on.
Have you come across any scenario where AI resulting in some, failure events?
I have seen that people are building something but not caring too much about, where they get the information. The source of information is not right, and then they are just thinking that AI will do some magic. You will not get good results for sure. There have been cases where, it completely hallucinated and gave very wrong answer.
Yeah.
But with a very high confidence.
There are many arguments that AI will take away most of the jobs, and we don't know what kind of new jobs that will be created. So what's your take on that?
Domain expertise, I think that's always going to be relevant. In fact, that's going to be more relevant in the age of AI because somebody has to tell AI what to do.
Hello everyone, welcome to Weekly Wi-Fi Wisdom podcast series where we talk everything about Wi-Fi and the tech that surrounds it. I'm your host Sainath and WLAN QA engineer at Candela Technologies, and today we have our guest Mr. Prabhash Dhyani, and he is currently working as head of engineering at Symbian, but he has long work experience in Wi-Fi across multiple companies. And he is here today to talk about the role of AI in Wi-Fi industry. I'm really glad that you are here and sparing us your time for this episode. Thank you so much for coming over. Looking forward for the episode, Prabhas.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here. You already mentioned that, I have a lot of experience with Wi-Fi. So maybe I'll start with, just talking about that experience.
Sure. Yeah.
So fresh after graduating from college, I joined a company, Airtight Networks. I was in college, I was in networking team, so I was really excited at that time what this Wi-Fi is all about. I did not know anything about Wi-Fi. That was in 2008, and Wi-Fi itself was very new, right? So, and then Wi-Fi security was a very niche, right? So that was a company, that was a kind of a startup at that point of time. So I joined there. I learned the basics of Wi-Fi. I was doing, some kind of pen testing over Wi-Fi. So that was a really great experience for me to learn about the basics. And then we, over time, so that was the 11N era, right?
Okay.
And then slowly, we moved to the enterprise Wi-Fi. So I saw all the generations from 11N to 11AC to 11AX. And then obviously, I continued. So that company, Airtel Networks, became Mojo Networks. And then finally it got acquired by Arista Networks in 2018, I think. So all those years, I was there, right, from the very early days to, at least, for 10 years. And then I joined Cambium Networks. That's when I came to Bangalore. And again, there I was handling the enterprise Wi-Fi team. And so obviously, I learned a lot of things there, not only on the access point side, but also what to do with that data on the cloud, like analytics and all those things. For the last 2 years, I got the AI bug. I have been exploring AI for last couple of years, but then the last 2 years when this generative AI came, right, so I really started seeing things differently, and I really thought, I should really dig deeper into all those things. What extra things that we can do which were not possible before, and that's how got interested in AI. So yeah, now I have recently joined Symbian as head of engineering. That is not in Wi-Fi, but I do have a lot of Wi-Fi legacy, and now I'm exploring AI and cybersecurity. So that's the background.
Great to know. Great to know, really. Now, since we are talking about AI, right? So when the AI wave came, maybe a couple of years or 3 years ago, So what was your initial interaction with an AI software? So for me, I saw a comment in community. So a guy saying that if you ask ChatGPT, it'll give creative answers. It can even draft emails for you. So that's the first interaction that I got to know about AI agents. Then I started using myself. I was amazed by the kind of responses it has given me. So that's my initial interaction with AI. What's yours?
Yeah, good question. So, AI as we know today. So, when we talk about AI today, everybody is talking about ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Anthropic, right? All those things. But AI is not a new thing, right? So, AI has been there, for quite some time. It was just used differently, right? We had data scientists, who used to, um, you know, uh, pass the data and store data in such a way that in big data platforms and all those things, right? So I think the use cases are also different, and we used to say that whichever vendor has more data has an edge, right?
Right.
Because they can train their models on this kind of data, and they understand these things better, right? So that AI was there for a long time, right? So and we were running not a lot of companies were doing a lot of things, right? Like Juniper Mist does a lot with AI. I think Aruba has something, Arista has something, Cameo has something, right? So that was the traditional AI where we were having data about a lot of parameters about Wi-Fi, like clients RSI, SNR, the kind of packets that they send, the traffic patterns, how they are roaming, and then on the AP health side, you can set a lot of data about AP, CPU utilization, channel utilization, things like that. And then you can correlate all these things.
Right.
You can also correlate it with, switch data if you want, some better analysis into, what is actually happening in the network. So people started using it for a lot of those things, like, understanding client behavior. The next level came, when they started using for troubleshooting, like if the issue is with Wi-Fi
True.
or with the client or with the switch, how do you correlate all that data, right? So that was there. So I was exploring that part also, but I think I got really, really interested when generative AI came, which is like just 2 years back, 2.5 years back, right? So just like you, as you mentioned that you started typing into ChatGPT to ask for some information, it really gives the nice answers, right? So obviously, I also just started doing that. But as I started learning more and more about it, I got really interested in what else we can do with this, right? The models were getting better, and then we also got the better answers. Like it started learning about me, my questions. Got it was giving very personalized answers because over time it also got memory. And then if you just think about those things, right? How we can use these systems with anything that you are using, like let's say Wi-Fi, right? Then I started thinking that maybe it can do a lot more than this.
Yeah.
So that's when I started building apps. I started using it for coding. Coding is a use case which has improved, I think, the most in the last 2 years, right?
True.
Because it needed reasoning and thinking. So yeah, I started with all these use cases, and I'm just hooked to it, right? So yeah, so that was my experience.
Right. So that's how you started. But how did you keep using it for your work? Purposes particularly. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I started using it for the basic stuff, like getting answers and all those things. But then when it came to work, right? So I think coding is one thing where I started using it for sure. But then I think on the product side, right, it has a lot of use cases. Now you get this data, you store this data somewhere on the cloud. Now how you present this data to the users, your customers, right? Basically, I think that is one very big use case. I think a lot of companies are thinking about the right ways to present this data. See, ChatGPT became popular because it had a very clean interface, right? No complexity. All you see is a screen where you can type and it gives you the answer, right? That's the kind of simplicity you want to have in your product. Right now on the product, you have a lot of dashboards, lot of information. Not everyone understands all those things. It's difficult, right? If you see some chart, what do you make out of it? Charts are not insights. Where do you have insights? Like what to do with that data, right? You don't know what the users will ask. Sometimes users want to see something which is not there on the dashboard. They have to really go somewhere, right? Can we simplify those interfaces, right? I think that is one use case I was really exploring. The other thing is that even at the backend side, right? I think we have to accept that these LLMs, large language models, has very good word knowledge, right? So they understand about protocols and everything, right? We as humans, we learned them over time, but they have already read everything about it.
Yeah.
It's all about what kind of context you give it to them, the kind of problem that you want to solve, the kind of information that you want to show. If you send the right kind of context to these LLMs who already have the word knowledge, they give you very good answer. Be it about Wi-Fi products or about any product, right? I think you can create very good user experiences for your customers if you know what they want and if you can give the right context to AI. So I think that is the biggest use case. So around that, I started thinking about from my work side, right? How I can use this AI technology to create better user experiences for for our customers.
So more on you are trying to make the AI get that contextual awareness, and
Sure.
then making personalized set of recommendations or improvements, whatever that you would like to see in your product side.
Right.
That's the more use case you are exploring.
Yeah, that's one use case. I think there are many more use cases where some vendors might be exploring, but I haven't seen it yet. I think AI is very good at personalization, right? So let's talk about the use case which gets mostly talked about in from Wi-Fi vendor's point of view is troubleshooting. Because Wi-Fi troubleshooting is hard. We have to accept that, right?
Yes.
There are so many variables. You do everything right on the access point, but then there are clients, different implementation, different behaviors.
Sure.
You don't know, right? And then there are external factors like RF itself is difficult, and then you have switches and everything. So a lot of parameters to get it right, right? So if you talk about troubleshooting now, you give the same problem statement to two people. Both of them will debug it very differently. Let's say you have a senior engineer who has the same set of information, but he will, after looking through logs, he will tell that this is the problem.
Right.
But you give it to a junior engineer, and he might spend 3 hours on that and may not find anything with the same set of information, right? Where is that different? The difference is in the knowledge,
Understanding,
the domain expertise, and the kind of context that he has, right? AI might solve this problem in many ways. One, that it can do a lot of things itself if you give the right context. But more than that, right? If you can over time, make your agents or your system learn how a senior engineer debugs this kind of problem, that is a knowledge that the agent or AI system learns.
Right.
Now, even a junior engineer goes, it already has that information that the other guy says, right? So that is how these are some of the use cases where it will be very, very useful. It can also, let me give you some other example, right? A lot of time what happens, and it's not true only for Wi-Fi, but for any company, right? But let's talk about Wi-Fi. So let's say you have some customers, and you are dealing with, let's say, 10 different customers, right? So each customer has some history, right? You might have done some configuration changes. You might have done some changes based on their request or based on understanding that how their layout is, what kind of devices they use, how many people are there, where their APs are placed, right? Now you have been handling that customer for, let's say, last 1 year. You know everything. If a question comes to you you have that context. You just tell them that this is what you should do because you have that history.
Right.
Now for some reason you are not there. You are on vacation. You leave. Whatever. These things keep happening, right? Somebody else comes and starts handling that customer, right? Where is that knowledge? Because that was contextual knowledge, right? Now you people keep it in some ways, some people keep it in notebooks, Jiras, some places, but it's very hard to remember and to summarize that, right? To go through everything.
Yeah.
I think that is another very good use case. It can act as a historian of that customer, right? So there are multiple use cases like that, right? We have to think
Sure.
like that.
Yeah. Now, we talked about this, but now how good of a use case is the Wi-Fi industry for AI applications?
Okay. So first I'll tell you where Wi-Fi companies make a lot of noise of using AI, right? So I keep hearing that RRM is a very big use case. While I do agree that it is a good use case, but I honestly don't think that it is as big a use case that as other use cases could be, right? I don't think RRM really needs a very long term data analysis and AI pipelines to really figure out what channels AP should work on.
Now, what are the other use cases that you are going to talk about? Like RRM is not much of a big use case.
Yeah. So what I'm going to talk about is that where you could, well, like troubleshooting we mentioned. Troubleshooting is people are using it some way, but I mentioned two other use cases. The third thing that I really think is that what if we stop thinking Wi-Fi, we should think beyond Wi-Fi troubleshooting and Wi-Fi configuration, right? Beyond connectivity, you should start seeing Wi-Fi as a layer, where from that's a bridge, from where the data goes, right? So Wi-Fi has a data where you can understand the devices, the application behavior, and things like that, right? So based on that, what you can do. Now, I'll give you some examples of captive portals, right?
Mhm.
So people go to captive portals. Now, captive portals collect a lot of data. That data goes through Wi-Fi. You start learning some patterns, right? Now, can you connect this data with other data sources, right? It could be hotels, malls. It could be a lot of other things, right? And then correlate this information to create a very personalized experience for that user, right? I think we have to think on those application layer use cases. Wi-Fi is just the thing from where you get the data on which
Right.
you can act. So those are the use cases I would be more bullish on, right, going forward,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
we have to accept that most of the things that we used to do 20 years back, all of those things are now in the Qualcomm chipset,
Right.
right? Last 10-15 years back, we used to build the features like band steering and roaming and things like that, and now all of those things are slowly coming by default. So
Right.
this has become a commodity.
Mhm.
Now if you really have to add value on top of Wi-Fi, it has to be somewhere else. So I think we have to start thinking about what do we really do with this data. And connectivity is important, but I think all that will become commodity. It's already commodity, I think,
Yeah.
70-80%, but whatever is remaining will also get there in some time. So to get the real value, we have to think beyond that, like at the application layer.
Sure. So not just L2 level stats on Wi-Fi, but we have to go all the way to L.
All the way up and really think about what kind of data we are collecting, and what to do with that data, not only for troubleshooting, but let's say how to monetize that data.
Mhm.
Can it
Right.
give you some other insights, right,
Right.
about users? If you know that this user is having a MacBook and roams between only these two access points, which means that this user always here. What do we know about this data? Can you get some data about this user from the Active Directory and figure out something more about it? Active Directory or captive portal or whatever, right? And then create some personalized experiences for that. Those are the things I think will give more edge.
Mhm.
in
So
term.
are these use cases not being explored before this Wi-Fi era? Any vendors doing some kind of work on this?
I think they might have been thinking about it, but it was definitely more difficult.
Mhm.
I haven't seen a working. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen any working solution that which talks about these things, that
Right.
it is working end to end. But I think this is where a lot of vendors might be thinking already or may want to go. Right. And obviously AI makes some of these things easier to imagine and build. Right. I've done some experiments where I just gave it some random data about Wi-Fi and just told it that based on your understanding what kind of insight you can give me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And my prompt was very simple. I gave you all the data. I tell it that give me one insight where a human might overlook,
Right.
and came out something really good. Okay, based on this SNR this are saying, and based on the traffic patterns and roaming visibility, I think that this is a mobile phone and it's used only between these two times. And all these I did not give any context, right?
Right.
Just from the traffic patterns.
So that was an impressive response for you.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
impressive response, because to do these things without AI, we would have coded a lot of things
Yeah.
and could have gotten wrong, because these things are evolving, right?
Sure. Let's talk about where AI is running mostly today. So is it on the cloud, controllers, or access point, or even on the edge devices like mobile phones or laptops? And
But-
and why is that placement important?
No, that's a very good and important question. Um, AI mostly, as of today, runs on cloud because traditionally it has been told that we need to store a lot of data to run AI, which is true in most cases. So that's the current state. Obviously, on the controller it can run, but it's mostly cloud, right? Now people are started to think about whether you can run something on the edge device also. I think we are in the very early stages for that. We are not there. I think Qualcomm is talking about edge AI, where they are trying to put some models on the access point which can do some basic things. I'm still wondering, what use cases those would be, which really required. But I think the bigger question is that, where does it make sense to run that AI, right? What are the use cases? I think we have to start thinking from those first principles, right? Now, if it's something if the use case requires data to be collected from multiple access points and clients, then it has to be on the cloud, because one API will not have that information, right? If it's something that only that API has information, and that API itself is the consumer of that information, and then you can do, I think that's a very good use case. Now, one of those use cases is application classification. Right now, all the Wi-Fi vendors that I know are running some third-party applications to detect the application types. Like, Wi-Fi traffic is going through access point, but they can identify, whether it's a WhatsApp call or Zoom call or Teams call, and then based on that, there are some actions that they take. So these are some licensed third-party applications, right? Now, can we create a SLM? By SLM, I mean small language model, which is very, very specific only for this use case, right? We don't have to have word knowledge. All it needs to be trained for is that if you see these patterns, can you identify what kind of application that is? Now, if we can do that, that would be a really good use case, because then on the access point, it can just detect these and take actions like, which traffic to put on which access category. When we'll get there, I'm not sure, but I'm sure when Qualcomm Edge AI comes, I think they might be thinking about these kind of things.
Right. You also mentioned about the size of the language model. You mentioned about small language model.
Yeah.
But how are the language models evolving on the edge devices? So are people going with large language models by increasing the hardware capabilities, or with the existing hardware resources trying to run some small size models? So in these two scenarios, which direction are we heading towards the most?
No, I think again, it's all use cases, right? So we have to understand, what happens when you increase the parameters, right? You get more reasoning capabilities, or you get more depth, right? All those things, right? So there is a reason we have 7 billion parameters, and there is a reason we have, multi-billion, parameters, right? The more parameters you have, the more depth you have in your reasoning, right? And there is also some concept, dimensions, right? All those things. So now, again, coming back to the use cases, if your use case is, let's say, very simple, I don't want to reason about a lot of things. All I'm telling you is that there is some traffic passing through you, and you have to identify. I've trained it on a lot of models that, when this traffic flows, this is WhatsApp. When this traffic flows, this is it. If you have trained, so I think you can do it, with very limited, very small model, and that is what you can put, because it's not only about the size of the parameter, size of the model. It's also about the inferencing, right? You have to inference it also at the runtime, and for that you need CPU, GPU, NPU, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, depend. So that is why some things are better to be run on cloud, or some things
Right.
which really require that kind of reasoning. It can run only on OpenAI, or let's say Anthropic servers, right? So
Totally depends on the use case.
totally depends on the use case.
Sure. Now let's talk about the maximum value that Wi-Fi can derive using AI. So you certainly mentioned about few use cases, but if we look 5 years ahead, or even beyond future, so what do you think that what are the few use cases where Wi-Fi can take the maximum value out of AI?
Yeah. Okay, so let's see it this way, right? So if you have to create a new Wi-Fi company today, how do you build it? Given that you have AI now, let's approach it that way, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of companies were Wi-Fi companies were built like many years back, and now AI is there, so everybody is trying to retrofit AI into what they have, right? So let's take it that way. So now today, if you have to build obviously you have to have the basics, right? You have to have a hardware, you have to have the basic host TPD and things like that, with authentication, all those things. But a lot of those things you get from OpenWRT also, Open Wi-Fi also, so you get the base, right? Now beyond that, what additional values that you can give, right? I think we are at an age where let me talk about briefly about Open Wi-Fi, because I really explored that very recently. So it gives you a very nice framework of running all the basic things, and then it also sends a lot of telemetry data already to cloud, right? Now you have the cloud, and then you can process the data in such a way that it's easily retrievable by your agents on the by the cloud, right? Now I would say that if I have to design a new Wi-Fi company today, then maybe I'll just get away from all the dashboards, right? Maybe the first interface could be just a natural language interface. What do you want to do? They start asking questions, how is my network doing, or how do I configure this, or even configuration commands can be sent by natural language.
Okay.
Now I'm not saying it should be clean dashboard, right? But what I'm saying is that maybe we'll start with something, but the kind of questions that you are asking, it will start changing your dashboard based on your what you really want.
Sure.
Right? That is one use case. The other use case would be that because every time you are sending this questions, either you want to know what is happening on network, or you are trying to troubleshoot the issue, right? AI will also be very useful in identifying these two streams, and then over time figure out what kind of issues you are seeing more, or what kind of information that you are looking for more, right? So what kind of information you are looking for, it will create dashboards for you. What kind of issues that you are seeing, I think we should can go deeper, and it can run its own investigation graphs.
Yes.
Collect that information. If the information is not there, if it thinks that I could not, AI agent says that I could not figure out this problem because if I had this data I could have done that, then it's a feedback to your developers, right? That okay, maybe I need to add that data. So things like that. So it can really help in how you present the data to your customers and how you help them troubleshoot. And what I mentioned back, right? Like over time, it will also learn how to make the system really smart by the people who were using the system smartly, right? Because not everyone asks the same questions.
True.
Right? So yeah, those things, I would say.
Sure. Now, we have talked about lots of use cases, but have you come across any scenario where AI resulting in some, failure events or not working as expected? It could be due to the way it's trained or wrong prompts, whatever.
Yeah.
But what are few failure events, or maybe not failure events, but AI not giving the outcomes that you wanted?
No. I think there are many cases like that. So it's sometimes it's just prompt, sometimes it's not using the right model, which really understand those complications. But most times it's the context that you are giving, right? So let me tell you this way, right? So let's say you are talking to 3 people, right? Or even you are talking just one people who is very smart, right? But if you ask a very vague question, that person cannot give you the right answer. But if you add more context, if you ask that person, okay, whether I should join this company, that person cannot give you the right answer, right? No matter how knowledgeable he is. But if you tell him, okay, this is what this company does, this is what my skill sets are, this is how much experience I have, and this is how I think, this is why I think I should join. Now tell me what you think. That person might give you a very good answer.
Sure.
It's like that, right? So context is very, very important, right? So I think wherever I have seen that people are building something but not caring too much about, where they get the information, the source of information is not right, and then they are just thinking that I'll do some magic, you will definitely see some failure scenarios. You will not get good results for sure.
Sure.
And that is why, this whole concept context, initially, for the first 2 years, it was like, prompt engineering.
Yeah.
Now everybody is like context engineering. But I think things are evolving, and this is definitely a much bigger thing to solve, right? How to give the right context. Now, but again, things are coming up really nicely, right? So initially people had RAG, retrieval augmented generation. Now people have MCP tools, MCP servers, right? So where you can get live information. So all those things are possible. I think there have been cases where it completely hallucinated and gave very wrong answer.
Yeah.
But with a very high confidence.
Yes.
Now its tone is always like it will please you. You will
Yeah.
think that it is saying the right thing.
Yeah.
And that is where we need to be very, very careful about, right? Sometimes just giving in a prompt that if you don't know, tell me that you don't know.
Okay.
That itself sometimes helps.
That will help you also.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah.
And but then if you design it the right way, I think it has got really, really better in the last 1 year, and I expect it to be better and better in the next few years.
Sure.
So
So now this is about a personal level question. So this day, the leverage is so high with AI. Anybody can use it. The base knowledge is already there on any topic if you want to learn. So how should somebody use AI to increase or boost their productivity?
oh yeah, so there are so many ways. So you might have heard this term, right? AI first.
Yeah.
Right. So this AI native, let's park that. That is for AI native companies or companies and all. But anyone can be AI first. Now, what does it mean? AI first means that everything you do, you think about AI first. You think that can I do it with AI? Something, right? Now list down all the things that you do. Maybe you read a lot of Wi-Fi articles, right? How much time do you spend there, right? In finding out those articles and all those things, right? Can you automate that? Yes, you can, because you can ask AI that these are the 10 sites that I read. Anytime a new topic comes, pass that information, give me a summary with the links. If I find the summary good, then only I'll go to that link. So that time reduces from 1 hour to, let's say, 5 minutes, right? What else do? You write some blogs, or you write coding is something that I think we all should really learn how to code with AI.
Mm-hmm.
It has changed the game. See, coding different languages, like be it Python or everything, right? This is just a way to communicate with the machine.
Yes.
Right? There was assembly language, right? So then C came and then Python came. People were, now English is a new language to talk to machines, like with prompt engineering, right? You still have to be very good at writing those prompts. But then I think because of AI, it has brought back a lot of people who had left coding because of the roles, like me, right? I used to be a coder, but then I could not do that because of a lot of other things that I was doing. But AI brought me back to coding, right? Because now with very less time, I could do a lot more. Right. So that is definitely one very big productivity boost. If you today is the time. If you have ideas, you can be a builder.
Right.
There is no reason you should not build something if you have ideas, right? Then I mean, I would say that it can increase productivity in all the areas that you can think. So I think it's up to you, right? Where you spend most time and where you think things are repeated. What else? I mean, let me ask you, right? So what are the things that, see, I'm sure, we are having this podcast. There will be some pieces, which you repeat, and there will be some cases where you must have automated, right? Using some tools.
Yeah.
These are the kind of things.
Right.
Anywhere you can save time by automating some stuff, I think that would be possible using AI very soon.
Now, this comes to moral aspects. So whenever a new wave of technology comes, obviously there are some jobs that are going to disappear. And if the revolution is so high, new layer of jobs will be created. But with this AI wave, what is happening in this industry or across the globe? And there are many arguments that AI will take away most of the jobs, and we don't know what kind of new jobs that will be created. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so it's a difficult question to answer because it has so many aspects, right? So answer is yes and no both. As you rightly pointed out, it's a very debatable point. Are some jobs going? Definitely. Because people are realizing that to do the same work, they need less guys. But who are the guys who are staying? The guys who are staying is that, who can who are now 10x developers. I already talked about being 10x by using productivity boost, right? Who else? Who are domain experts, right?
Mhm.
Because right now AI is not at a place where you can completely rely on this. There is still hallucination there. You still need someone who can give the right context and right prompts. So
Sure.
domain experts will still remain, right? Uh, so it's not like all the jobs will go, but I would still say that to be relevant, this is a key skill that everybody should learn, right? To do more. And the most important thing I think um, is to the ability to learn new things.
Mhm. Right.
Because I think like 30-40 years back, right, when uh, our parents used to start in one job and retire with the same job, right?
Yeah.
Now when we came to jobs, right, so that period was like 10 years, 7 years, like 7 years, every 7 years the technology was changing,
Yeah, right.
right? Sometimes you were learning Java, then some other technology, then cloud came, and then mobile came and things like that. Now things are changing so fast, then if you don't have the ability to learn new things, that would be a you would be at a disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the answer is yes, that some jobs are going. I don't want to say no, because that is so evident.
True.
Right? Every other day you hear this news. But is it for all, and anyone who got laid off, have they lost the opportunity? I don't think so, right? Because there's so many other things are coming. There's so many other use cases that are coming, which can be solved only by AI, right? So yeah, I think it will create more entrepreneurs, which is I keep hearing about. A lot more people, will be able to do a lot of things with very lean teams. Very soon, I think you will see that there will be a lot of companies with very lean teams,
Mm-hmm.
but doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
You don't need 50, 60, 100 people to do all those things, right, that you needed before. Maybe you can do all those things in just 20 people.
Sure.
So I think, and that's one thing I keep telling a lot of people, that you have to be curious enough. Don't lose your creativity just because AI is there, because AI will make smart people smarter but dumb people dumber. If you rely everything there on AI, then it's a very dangerous thing. Right. So it does play with your cognitive abilities. So
Yeah. Absolutely. I loved your take on that.
yeah.
Now, can we touch upon a little bit more on what kind of new jobs that will be generated by AI? Maybe in the future, you know.
Yeah, so there are actually I haven't thought too much. I mean, I keep hearing about it, but I haven't thought too much. But right now, the trend that I see is that it's the new kind of jobs are that are being created, where we are automating the stuff to make humans more efficient to do their jobs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, let's say again, taking the example of Wi-Fi. Let's say you needed uh, 10 support engineers before, because the volume of tickets were high, and most of the time was not because you need human judgment. Most of the time was because you had to collect a lot of data from 10 different sources.
Right.
Some
Sure.
data from,
Sure.
let's say, Wi-Fi logs, some from switch, some from other cloud logs and things like that. Now let's say we still have those 10 guys, right? But the repeatable part, right, like getting this information from 10 different sources, can be done by AI agent. So that will save a lot of time, right? Human judgment is still there. It will save a lot of time. So people building these kinds of agents or softwares, building agents is something that I see that trend, that
Okay.
it is creating a lot of jobs. Almost every other friend that I talk to who are into this space is creating some kind of agents to solve some problem which was previously done by humans. But I think that is one part of it. The I think we are just touching the surface, because we are thinking that how we can make existing things more efficient. I think the bigger opportunity lies where we start thinking about um, what new things we can do which was not possible before. I don't have a very good answer right now, but I've been thinking about it. I have been discussing few things, so maybe in some time we'll start seeing some trends. Right now, I think a lot of people just focus on making things more efficient.
Right.
That itself is a very big industry, by the way.
Mhm.
No doubt about it. Everybody's writing agents to do something better. But I think it will evolve. It will, like medical, right? So people are finding some new DNAs and all those things, right? They're trying to discover new things. So those things nobody thought, because that required a lot, 20 years research.
Mhm.
So some of those things will come in some other areas also.
Right.
I'm sure.
Sure. So there might be a potentially new wave of jobs that we even did not think about. Maybe not even thinking now. So lots of opportunities might be coming, and also in today's context, the guys who identify the gaps where there is a lot of repetition, maybe mundane tasks, who can automate them using AI agents, they are having a lot of value.
They're definitely having a lot of value, and I think anyone should definitely upskill themselves
Mhm.
to use these tools. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying that you have to build LLM or you have to build applications, but at least start with using tools that others have built. That itself will improve your productivity, right? Use that save time to do something else, right?
Sure.
So start there, then maybe you can try building few things here and there, and yeah, see, you have to be at the edge of exactly knowing what's happening, because things are moving faster than ever,
Right.
right? If it didn't took 15 years for people to understand, cloud took, let's say, 10 years, mobile took, let's say, 5 years. This has taken just in 1 year the entire thing has changed, right? Things are moving that fast.
Sure.
So we just have to be keep understanding what's changing. That is, you just do that, you are staying ahead of a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, you are right. I mean, by doing that, you will definitely find some gaps where you can
Yeah.
shine.
Yeah. Absolutely. I loved all your insights. So I think we are done with the questions. So if you have anything to address our audience on this specific topic, please do.
Sure.
Then we can conclude.
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for having me here and giving me this opportunity to share these insights. Obviously, I love Wi-Fi. All my life, I have been into Wi-Fi, and now I have been exploring AI a lot for different use cases. I started with Wi-Fi, but now I'm into something else. But if I have to give one message to all your audiences, right, that would be like AI is definitely reshaping a lot of industries. Uh, I mean, a lot of people say it's hype. Yes, it's hype in some cases, but it is also true that if you don't learn these skills, you're gonna stay behind, right?
Right.
And start with some tools, using some tools, then maybe move to build some tools and things like that. Things are getting easier, and keep looking for these gaps where you can add a lot of value. Domain expertise, I think is always going to be relevant. In fact, that's going to be more relevant in the age of AI, because somebody has to tell AI what to do.
Yeah.
Right. So that surface level knowledge will not help anyone,
Not
because
gonna help, yeah.
anyone can get that knowledge from AI.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I would like to end.
Yeah, sure. I think that's all for today's episode, everybody. So if you like the episode, please like, share, subscribe. And if you have any comments for Prabhas, please leave them in the comments. I'll definitely make sure that I'll take those comments to him and get his response back. So yeah, please continue watching Weekly Wi-Fi Wisdom, and please stay tuned for further episodes. Thank you so much.